For 200 years, the galaxy burned with war. Alien empires rose and fell, planets were destroyed, and whole civilizations vanished. But through all of it, humanity stayed out of the fight. They followed one rule. One line no alien dared to cross. No alien ship may enter the solar system. Ever. Everyone in the galaxy respected that line. Some feared Earth. Others thought humans were too small to matter. But the rule stayed untouched, and the war never reached the blue planet. Commander Rian Voss never trusted that peace. He had spent his life watching the war from a distance. Every night, he sat inside Earth Defense Command, staring at screens that showed flames across far-off galaxies. He knew one day, someone would cross the line. Someone always did. The story begins on a silent evening near Jupiter. Rian stood beside a large holoscreen, watching a damaged alien ship drift into the solar system. It looked dead. No lights, no movement, no signals. Just a black, broken shell floating toward Jupiter's orbit. "Where did it come from?" he asked. His officer replied, "We don't know, sir. No ID. No record. No crew detected. It's drifting like a grave." Rian stepped closer. Something inside him twisted with unease. Then the broken ship suddenly lit up, only for a second, and a strange message came through, an audio whisper that made the entire control room freeze. It repeated 3 chilling words. "They are coming." Then silence. The message looped again. "They are coming. They know your secret." The officers exchanged nervous looks. Rian didn't blink. He had heard hundreds of alien languages, but this one carried something else. Fear. Real fear. "What secret?" someone whispered. But no one answered. Earth leaders were alerted within minutes. Instead of panic, they simply said the same thing they always said. Earth is neutral. Do not provoke anyone. Do not act. Rian hated those words. He had seen too much to believe neutrality could last forever. Hours passed. The broken ship kept drifting. And then, without warning, every system in mission control flickered. Screens turned black. The lights dimmed. The air hummed like something powerful had stepped into the room. Rian's heart stopped for a moment. "Is this from the alien ship?" An officer shouted. "No," Rian whispered. "This is something else." The darkness lasted only 5 seconds. But when the lights snapped back on, the real nightmare began. Earth's long-range scanners picked up a massive object at the edge of the solar system. A ship. A flagship. Larger than anything humans had ever recorded. And it was crossing the one line no alien ever crossed. Alarms screamed across mission control. Unidentified vessel entering from the outer boundary. It's breaking the neutrality zone. It's not stopping. Rian leaned forward. Put it on the screen. The image appeared. Dark silver armor, glowing red patterns, and an energy core pulsing like a living heart. No weapons firing. No signals. Nothing. Just silent and unstoppable. The room filled with tension. "Maybe it's damaged," someone suggested. Rian shook his head. "No. That ship is alive. And it's choosing silence." The flagship slowed near Saturn. Then suddenly, small objects began detaching from its side. Dozens of them, spreading out like insects. "Drones," an officer said. But these weren't normal drones. They moved without engines, without sound, as if the vacuum itself carried them forward. Rian stepped closer to the main screen, feeling a cold pressure in his chest. Track their path. The drones changed direction. They were heading straight for Earth. The silence in the room cracked into fear. "We need to fire," someone shouted. "No," the Earth Council replied over the comm line. "You will not attack. That ship may be asking for help. Humanity stays out of the war." Rian slammed his fist against the console. They crossed the line. Neutrality is over. But the Council didn't listen. Outside the station windows, the drones were now visible. Small dark shapes cutting through space like blades. Then, everything went wrong. Earth's orbit sensors shut down one by one. First the East Array. Then the planetary grid. Then the final defense ring. It wasn't an attack. It was something worse. The drones were scanning Earth. Deep scans. DNA-level scans. They're not looking for weapons, Rian said, voice tight. They're looking for people. The room fell silent. No one understood what that meant. Before they could react, the broken alien ship near Jupiter powered up again. This time, the message was longer. Earth, listen. They crossed your line. They are coming for what sleeps inside you. Run. Rian felt every hair on his arms rise. What sleeps inside us? What does that mean? No answer. The mysterious flagship moved again. Slow. Steady. Intentional. Its red lights turned toward Earth like eyes opening for the first time. That was when Rian realized something terrible. The enemy wasn't here to destroy Earth. They were here to take something from it. The drones entered Earth's atmosphere. Cities looked up. The sky glowed with silent black shapes. And humanity understood. Too late. Someone had crossed the final line. The drones entered Earth's atmosphere silently, like shadows falling from the sky. They made no sound, no attack, no warning. They did not aim at military bases or cities. Instead, they drifted slowly, calmly, as if they owned the air around them. Commander Rian Voss watched the live feed with rising fear. The drones had spread across the entire planet, one above New York, one over Karachi, one above Tokyo, Cairo, Sao Paulo, London. They hovered at the same height, 20,000 feet above the ground, not moving, not speaking, not firing. It was the silence that scared people more than anything. Why aren't they attacking? An officer asked, voice shaking. Rian kept his eyes locked on the screen. Because they don't need to. Crowds gathered below the drones, filming with their phones, screaming, praying, running, or simply staring. No one knew what would happen next. They looked like black blades, sharp and unnatural, each one almost 20 meters long, shaped like a stretched diamond. Then the first strange thing happened. The drone above New York glowed with a soft blue light. Not bright, just a pulse, like a heartbeat. A second drone pulsed. Then a third. Then a fourth. Within seconds, all drones around the world pulsed in the same rhythm, as if they were connected, sharing one mind. Are they talking to each other? An officer asked. No, Rian replied quietly. They're preparing. A scientist standing near him gasped as data filled her screen. Commander, this is impossible. The drones are scanning our planet. Not for weapons. Not for technology. They're scanning biological signatures. Rian turned sharply. Explain. They're mapping human DNA. Everyone froze. The scientist continued. They're searching for something specific. A pattern. A genetic sequence. Rian felt a heavy weight settle in his chest. The broken alien ship's message echoed in his mind. They know your secret. Down on Earth, hospitals and research centers reported strange readings. Energy waves passed through buildings, through bodies. For a moment, everyone felt a slight tremor in their bones, like a cold ripple running through their blood. Children cried. Adults felt dizzy. Animals panicked. Rian clenched his fists. What are they looking for in our DNA? Before anyone answered, alarms blared again. The flagship is moving. On the screen, the alien flagship shifted position, drifting closer to Earth than any ship had ever dared. Red lights flashed across its hull. A long, thin structure extended from its front, almost like a spear pointing directly toward the planet. Is that a weapon? Someone whispered. No, Rian said. It's a probe. The spear-shaped device released another wave of energy, powerful enough to shake every satellite in orbit. Then, the strange truth appeared on the screen. Commander, the drones have completed their scan, and they've identified targets. Rian's stomach tightened. What targets? The scientist swallowed hard. Children. Only children. The words hit the room like thunder. Why children? Rian demanded. We don't know. But the drones are tracking children between 6 and 12 years old. All over the world. On the screen, a drone above London dropped a glowing red beam, not to attack, but to project a map. Thousands of tiny red dots appeared across the city. Each dot was a child. Rian stared in disbelief. This is not war. This is hunting. Then the next horror began. One of the drones moved. It drifted downward, slowly, until it hovered just above a school in Cairo. People screamed and scattered. Parents grabbed their children. Soldiers fired at the drone, but the bullets simply bounced off its surface like pebbles hitting steel. A small circle on the drone opened. Smooth, silent, and a beam of white light shot downward. Not heat. Not fire. Something worse. The children hit by the beam froze in place, eyes wide, unable to move. They didn't scream. They didn't run. They just stood there, glowing faintly with the same light. As the beam faded, the children rose into the air, floating, lifted like weightless dust. "No," Rian whispered. "They're taking them." The drone carried the children upward, toward the sky, toward the alien flagship growing darker and larger by the second. "Commander," a voice shouted. "It's happening everywhere." Screens switched rapidly. Children rising in Tokyo. Children rising in Mexico City. Children rising in Lagos. Dozens at first. Then hundreds. Rian slammed his hand on the command table. "We have to stop them. Shoot the drones." "Council still says no," an officer replied. "They order us to hold fire." Rian shouted. "They're taking our children. What else do they need to see?" The officer looked helpless. Orders were orders. Earth was still neutral. But neutrality meant nothing now. Rian watched another group of children being pulled into the sky, their small bodies disappearing into the clouds. His breath shook. His voice lowered. "This is not scanning. This is harvesting." The flagship opened a massive chamber at its center, like a mouth waiting to swallow its prey. Thousands of glowing children floated toward it. The darkness of the chamber consumed them, and the ship sealed shut again. Rian whispered, "This is the real beginning." The war that humanity avoided for 2 centuries had finally arrived at their door. The world fell into chaos. Every news channel screamed the same message. Children are being taken. Cities under silent attack. Parents cried in the streets. Governments panicked. Armies prepared weapons but still waited for permission to fire. The alien flagship hovered above Earth like a dark moon, calm and fearless. It did not speak. It did not warn. It just took what it came for. Commander Rian Voss had never felt rage like this. He stood in mission control, watching the live feeds of hundreds of children being pulled into the sky. He knew they were alive. He could see their bodies glowing faintly, floating helplessly, but he had no idea what the aliens wanted with them. "Why children?" he whispered. No one answered. Then a new alert flashed across the screen. "Commander!" an officer shouted. "Dr. Lyra Hale is requesting emergency access to command. She says she knows what the drones were searching for." Rian turned instantly. Lyra was one of Earth's top genetic scientists. Secretive, brilliant, and known for working on projects far above his clearance level. "Let her in," Rian ordered. Minutes later, the doors opened, and Lyra entered with a tablet clutched in her hands. Her face was pale, her eyes wide, as if she had been running for hours. "Rian," she said quickly, skipping all formal greetings. "We don't have time. What are they looking for?" Rian demanded. "Why children?" She took a slow breath. "Because children carry something adults don't. Something rare. Something ancient." Rian frowned. "Ancient? What does that mean?" Lyra tapped her tablet, projecting a DNA strand into the air. It spun slowly, glowing faintly. "Look here," she said. "This sequence doesn't belong to modern humans." "What?" an officer asked. Lyra continued. "This sequence is a remnant, a leftover from a species older than humanity itself. A species that vanished millions of years ago." Rian stared at her. "You're saying humans evolved from another species?" "No," Lyra replied. "I'm saying humanity was shaped by one." The room went silent. Lyra spoke slowly, clearly, her voice tense. "Humans carry genetic traces from an ancient race known only in alien legends. The architects." Rian felt the floor tilt under his feet. The architects were myths, creators of lost machines, builders of ancient structures across distant worlds. Some believed they controlled energy itself. Others said they destroyed themselves with their own power. Lyra looked at him with grim certainty. The stories were true. Rian shook his head. But why would aliens take our children? Because only children have the full sequence, Lyra replied. She zoomed in on the DNA projection. This part of the sequence fades as humans grow older. By adulthood, it disappears almost completely. But in children, it glows like fire. Rian frowned. Fire for what? Lyra swallowed hard. For activation. The word hit the room like ice. Activation of what? Rian asked. Lyra hesitated, then said the words no one expected. A weapon. A massive weapon the architects built long ago. One that only their genetic descendants can unlock. And the Varkath want it. Rian went pale. He whispered, The Varkath know our DNA? Lyra nodded. They've been searching for the architect bloodline for centuries. And now they found it. On the screens, more children floated toward the alien flagship, glowing like small stars. Rian's jaw tightened. What does this weapon do? Lyra answered without emotion. It destroys whole systems. Entire clusters of stars. If activated, it can burn half the galaxy. Everyone froze. Rian felt his heartbeat pounding in his ears. And children are the key? Lyra nodded. Their DNA is pure enough to unlock the weapon. That's why the drones didn't fire. They weren't attacking us. They were collecting us. Rian clenched his teeth. Now I understand the message from the broken ship. They know your secret. Lyra looked away. Humanity's greatest strength has been hidden inside us since the beginning. But we never knew it. Rian's voice hardened. They crossed our line. They took our children. And our leaders still want neutrality. As if on cue, the Council's voice came over the communication line. Commander Voss, stand by. Do not engage the flagship. Humanity must not enter the war. Rian stared at the speaker with cold disbelief. Lyra leaned closer and whispered, Neutrality was only safe until they discovered the truth. Now they won't stop. Not until they have every child with architect DNA. Rian closed his eyes for a moment. Then alarms blared again. Commander! The flagship is opening another chamber. The screen zoomed in. A huge circular door on the ship's underside spiraled open, revealing a glowing core, pulsing red, like a beating heart. Inside, thousands of children floated in long rows, arranged like circuits in a machine. Lyra gasped. They're linking them to something. They're preparing activation. Rian slammed his hand on the table. We need to move. Now. But the Council. I don't care about the Council. Rian shouted, louder than anyone had ever heard him. They crossed our line. They took our children. If we wait, we lose everything. He turned to his officers with sharp resolve. Prepare a rescue mission. Quiet. Fast. Off the record. Lyra looked at him with a mix of fear and hope. Rian, if you go after them, you'll be starting the war. Rian met her eyes. The war already started. We're just the last ones to admit it. Commander Rian Voss did not wait for permission. He knew the Council would never allow a rescue mission. They were too afraid of starting a war. But Rian also knew something else. A war had already started the moment the first child was taken. He moved quickly through the lower levels of Earth Defense Command, followed by a small group of loyal officers, people who trusted him more than the Council. Inside a dim hangar, a sleek black ship waited. The Phantom Wing, a prototype stealth craft built for missions the public would never hear about. It had no large weapons, no heavy armor, but its engines ran silent and its hull bent light. Perfect for slipping into enemy territory. Lyra Hale arrived moments later, carrying a compact scanner. You're going yourself? She asked. Rian nodded. I won't send others to do this. Not when children are inside that ship. Lyra handed him the scanner. This will detect architect DNA. If the children are alive, this will find them. She hesitated, then added, Rian, don't die out there. He gave a small, tired smile. I'll try not to. The phantom wing launched into the dark without fanfare. No alarms. No official orders. Just a quiet ship slipping past Earth's security grid, heading toward the massive alien flagship waiting beyond Saturn. The closer they got, the bigger the enemy ship became, so large it looked like a floating city made of metal. Its surface pulsed with red veins, as if alive. No windows. No words. No fear. The crew inside the phantom wing felt their breath tighten. It looks like something built to eat worlds, one officer muttered. Stay focused, Rian said. We're ghosts. No mistakes. The phantom wing darted into the flagship's shadow. Its stealth systems worked perfectly. The alien sensors did not react. Rian guided the ship toward a small maintenance port near the ship's underside. Prepare to board, he ordered. The ship latched onto the flagship with a metallic thud. Lights inside flickered. The air turned cold. Open the hatch. A thin metal walkway extended, connecting human craft to alien steel. Rian grabbed his rifle and stepped onto the alien vessel first. Inside was darkness. Not normal darkness, but thick, heavy, like something hiding within it. The walls were covered in strange patterns, organic shapes pulsing like veins. Rian touched one and felt it vibrate, as if the ship itself was breathing. Sir, an officer whispered. This place feels wrong. Rian nodded. Move. Slow. No noise. They followed a long corridor until Lyra's scanner beeped softly. DNA signature, she whispered. Children. 50 meters ahead. They hurried forward. The corridor opened into a massive chamber. And there they were. Hundreds of children floating inside glass-like tubes. Their eyes closed, bodies glowing faintly. Each tube connected to long red cables that fed into a giant machine in the center of the room. A tall, twisted structure pulsing with strange energy. Lyra gasped. They're alive. But they're linked, like parts of a circuit. Rian clenched his jaw. We're getting them out. Before they could move, a deep metallic sound echoed behind them. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. The crew spun around. Standing at the entrance was something massive, taller than any human, armor black as night, eyes glowing dim red. A Varkath commander. Its voice rumbled like stone grinding on stone. You should not be here, human. Rian stepped forward, rifle raised. You took our children. The Varkath tilted its head. We took what belongs to us. Rian's voice hardened. Human children do not belong to you. The alien's response chilled the crew. You still do not understand your place. Humans were never neutral. You were never outside the war. You were bred for it. The words hit Rian like a punch. What are you talking about? The Varkath moved closer, slow and towering. You carry the mark of the architects. Your children are the final keys. With them, the core star will awaken, and the galaxy will fall. The room vibrated as the machine behind the children pulsed brighter. Lyra whispered, They're starting activation. Rian made a decision. Cut the tubes. Free the children. Now. His team rushed forward, smashing control panels and breaking open containment tubes. One by one, children fell into human arms, weak but alive. The Varkath roared and charged. Rian fired. Blue light cracked across the alien's armor. The creature stumbled but did not fall. It swung a massive arm, smashing a console and sending sparks everywhere. Hurry! Rian shouted. More children were freed. 5, 8, 12. The machine in the center glowed brighter with every tube disconnected. The Varkath roared again, raising a heavy weapon from its back. Lyra screamed. Rian! Watch out! The alien fired. An energy blast shattered the floor beside Rian. He dove behind a pillar, firing back, buying his team precious seconds. An officer yelled, We've freed 19 children. That's all we can reach. Rian looked around. The other tubes were too high, too far, connected to beams they couldn't reach without tools. He cursed under his breath. Then he heard something worse, the deep hum of the flagship powering up. They're opening the wormhole, Lyra said. They're moving the rest of the children to another location. Rian looked at the remaining children, hundreds still trapped. No, he whispered. A bright tear opened in the air, a wormhole portal swallowing the entire chamber's center. The Varkath commander stepped back toward it. You cannot stop what has begun, human. Rian raised his rifle with shaking hands. You took our children, and now you run? The alien stepped into the wormhole, taking the machine and hundreds of glowing children with it. The portal snapped shut. The chamber went silent. Rian stared at the empty space where the children had been. They had rescued only 19. Hundreds, gone. Lyra's voice broke the silence. Rian, what do we do now? Rian closed his eyes. We go after them. He opened his eyes, burning with fury. And we bring them all home. The Phantom Wing raced away from the alien flagship, carrying 19 rescued children and a crew shaken to the core. Behind them, the enormous Varkath ship remained silent, as if it didn't care that humans had stolen even a handful of its captives. But Commander Rian Voss knew the truth. The Varkath didn't chase them because they didn't need to. They had hundreds of children. And the key to something far worse. As soon as the Phantom Wing re-entered Earth space, alarms erupted across the entire network. Unidentified fleet entering the solar system. Multiple Varkath warships. They're coming in fast. Rian felt the breath leave his lungs. The Varkath weren't hiding anymore. They were invading. When the Phantom Wing landed, Earth Defense Command was in full panic. Officers ran in every direction. Screens flashed with warnings. The Council shouted orders that no one listened to anymore. Rian stepped into command with the 19 children behind him. Doctors rushed them away. Lyra ran to the main console and froze. Oh no, she whispered. Everyone turned to see the display. A full Varkath battle fleet was entering the outer solar system. 20 destroyers. 6 carriers. 2 siege cruisers shaped like metal mountains. And at the center, a giant ship far larger than the flagship Rian had infiltrated. Its shadow swallowed the star map. Rian stared. What is that monster? Lyra's voice trembled. That is a World Reaper. The room went silent. Everyone knew the stories. No one had ever seen one. A World Reaper could tear apart a planet's crust like paper. Whole civilizations had vanished under its shadow. And Earth was next. The Council appeared on the main screen, pale and terrified. Commander Voss, you will not engage. Earth is still neutral. Rian snapped. He stepped forward and cut the Council transmission with a single command. Everyone stared in shock. Lyra whispered, Rian, that was the Council line. Not anymore, he said. The officers held their breath. Rian turned to them. For 2 centuries we hid behind neutrality. We told ourselves we were safe. But now, they took our children. They brought war to our home. Neutrality is dead. He pointed at the incoming fleet. That is the enemy. And if we don't fight, Earth dies. The room filled with a new kind of silence, one that carried anger, fear, and rising courage. Rian lifted his chin. All defense platforms online. The officers moved instantly. Orbital cannons charging. Earth shield grid activating. Mech battalions deploying across all continents. Rian issued one more order, the one no commander in human history had ever spoken. Prepare the Soul Spear. Gasps filled the room. Lyra looked at him sharply. You're using the Soul Spear? That weapon was never tested. Rian's eyes hardened. Today is the day. The Soul Spear was humanity's hidden weapon, a secret project built inside the core of the moon. A massive energy beam capable of cutting through battleships like cloth. It was powerful, but unstable. No one knew if it would work. Rian didn't care. He needed it. As Earth prepared for war, the Varkath fleet reached Neptune's orbit. The giant World Reaper moved with slow, terrifying grace, as if confident nothing on Earth could harm it. Enemy fleet is spreading formation, an officer said. They're surrounding the solar system like a net. Lyra's eyes widened. They're trapping us. Rian leaned forward. Not if we break through it first. The first Varkath destroyers opened fire, long-range beams slicing through space like glowing knives. Earth's outer defense satellites exploded one after another. Shockwaves rocked space stations. The war had begun. Rian gave the first human counterstrike order in 200 years. All orbital guns, fire. Earth's cannons answered with blinding light. Blue beams shot upward from the planet's surface, streaking through the void and smashing into the Varkath destroyers. 2 alien ships shattered into burning fragments. Another fell apart, torn in half. The officers cheered, but their celebration died instantly. "Commander, the World Reaper is charging something." The map lit up. A massive red beam gathered at the front of the colossal ship, bigger than a skyscraper, pulsing with deadly energy. Rian knew what was coming. Brace for impact. The beam fired. A red wave roared across space, slicing through every defense platform between Neptune and Saturn. Human stations vanished in seconds. Entire fleets guarding the outer rim were wiped clean. Earth shook. Lyra covered her mouth. That wasn't even full power. Rian's jaw tightened. If that beam hits Earth, the planet is finished. The enemy fleet advanced. The World Reaper charged again. Earth's remaining forces prepared for a final stand. Rian took a deep breath. Activate the Soul Spear. A deep hum echoed from the moon. The entire solar system seemed to vibrate. But then, something unexpected happened. A signal. A new message. From the 19 rescued children. Their bodies began to glow again, brighter than before, responding to something unseen. Lyra's scanner beeped wildly. Rian stared at her. "What is happening?" Lyra whispered. "The children. They're reacting. Someone is calling them." Rian felt the air freeze around him. "The Varkath." Lyra shook her head slowly. "No. Something older." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "The Architects." The bunker felt colder than before, even though the heaters were running at full power. General Rourke stood at the center table, staring at the holographic map that showed red dots spreading across every continent. Each dot marked a human child taken by the Krail. Each dot meant another family waiting for news that never came. The room was silent until Dr. Mara stepped forward. "General, we found something. Something you must see." A hush fell. Every officer turned. Mara rarely looked this shaken. Rourke nodded. "Show me." She tapped her tablet. The center screen lit up with a grainy video. It showed a dark alien hall, lit by blue lines on the floor. A Krail officer dragged a small human girl forward. She tried to fight, but she was too weak. Behind her, hundreds of other children were trapped in glowing cells. Then the recording zoomed in on a large metal chamber. A tall Krail scientist spoke in a cold, emotionless tone. "The human mind adapts. It refuses control. But the young can be shaped. Their will can be bent. Their fear is clean." Everyone in the bunker froze. Then the scientist continued. "Prepare the conversion pit. The human species will finally serve." The video ended. The bunker remained silent. Captain Hale whispered, "They're not studying children. They're trying to turn them into soldiers." Rourke's fist tightened. "No, not soldiers." He looked around the room. "Slaves." The word landed like a hammer. Mara stepped closer. "General, this is why they crossed the border. They didn't want Earth. They wanted our children. They wanted their minds." Rourke looked at the map again. At every red dot. At every life the Krail planned to twist. For the first time in the war, his voice broke. "Why children? Why them?" Mara swallowed hard. "Because adults resist. Kids, they learn fast. They obey. If the Krail control a generation of human children, they won't need to use force ever again. They will have an army raised from our own homes." A heavy silence spread through the bunker, thick with anger. Rourke straightened. "We end this. Now." Across the base, the new human fleet warmed up. Engines glowed bright blue. Soldiers ran through halls, checking weapons. Even civilians volunteered to carry supplies or guide evacuees. No one wanted to sit and wait anymore. Earth wasn't fighting for land. Earth wasn't fighting for power. Earth was fighting for its children. A voice suddenly called from the radio. "General, we have a message. From the Krail leader." Rourke frowned. Put it through. The screen flickered, showing a tall Krail commander with silver armor and no eyes. Only 2 black pits. Humans, the alien said in a calm voice that made everyone's skin crawl. Stop your resistance. Return to your shelters. You cannot win. You have already lost what matters most. Rourke stepped forward. Give them back. All of them. The alien tilted its head. Impossible. Their minds are too valuable. Their fear has unlocked abilities we require. A few soldiers in the room clenched their fists. Rourke growled, If you don't release them, we will come for you. The alien stared into the camera, its expression unreadable. You misunderstand. We want you to come. Let us see how far humanity will go when cornered. The feed cut. Every officer stared at the blank screen. That message wasn't just a threat. It was a challenge. And the Krail wanted to see what humans did when pushed to the final line. Later that night, in a quiet hallway, Mara caught up to Rourke. You know what this means, she said softly. Rourke didn't turn. Yes. It means war without limits. No, Mara said. It means you must choose. Rourke finally stopped walking. Choose what? Mara took a long breath. The Krail base holding the children. It's inside a gravity field. If we attack it directly, the field might collapse. If it collapses, the entire chamber will crush instantly. Rourke stared at her, cold shock spreading across his face. You're saying the rescue itself could kill them? Mara nodded slowly. Rourke closed his eyes. If they didn't attack, humanity would lose an entire generation. If they attacked, they might kill the very children they were trying to save. This wasn't a military decision. This was a nightmare. Mara whispered, Humanity stayed out of the war for years, but the Krail forced us in. Now they want to force us to break our own spirit. Rourke opened his eyes again, eyes burning with something stronger than fear. No, he said. We will not break. He stepped toward the command room. Prepare every ship, every pilot, every soldier. We go to the Krail stronghold, and we bring our children home, or we die trying. The alarms began to ring through the base. Engines roared. Soldiers rushed to their stations. Earth was done hiding. Now the real war would begin, and humanity would show the galaxy what happens when someone crosses the final line. The human fleet moved like a storm through the dark space. Dozens of ships, large and small, formed a single spear aimed at the Krail stronghold. Engines glowed bright blue. Weapons warmed with low humming sounds. Soldiers sat in their seats, silent, focused, waiting for one order. General Rourke stood at the front window of the command ship Valor. Ahead of him, the Krail base floated like a giant cage. Sharp metal wings, a hollow center, and a glowing gravity field wrapping around it like a living cloud. Somewhere inside that fortress, thousands of human children waited. Rourke's voice came calm but filled with steel. Begin approach. The human fleet moved closer. The Krail responded instantly. Alien warships emerged from the shadows, sleek silver blades gliding through space. Their engines made no sound. Their weapons lit up with cold, blue fire. Captain Hale muttered, They were waiting for us. Rourke nodded. Good. Then they won't be surprised when we win. The first blast shook the Valor. Human ships scattered and returned fire. Explosions lit up the darkness like stars being born and dying in seconds. The Krail fought hard. Every shot was precise. Every movement was practiced. But today, humans fought with something the Krail never understood. Rage, hope, and the burning need to protect their own. A human pilot shouted through the radio. They hit my wing. Still flying. For Earth. Another yelled. They want our kids? They can try and take me first. The battle grew louder, fiercer. Yet even with all the firepower, the gravity field around the alien base refused to break. It shimmered like a shield made of storms. Dr. Mara worked at her console, fingers flying. General, the field is controlled from 3 power towers on the base. If we disable them, the shield will collapse safely. Rourke replied, Safely for us, or safely for the children? Mara hesitated. If we time it perfectly, both. Rourke nodded. Tell Hale to take a strike team. Hale smiled for the first time that day. I thought you'd never ask. The strike ship Arrow broke away from the fleet and shot toward the base. Hale led 7 soldiers, each carrying a device built to overload alien tech. As they flew inside one of the base's open corridors, alarms flashed everywhere. Krail guards rushed out, firing blue bolts. Hale's team returned fire, moving with pure discipline. Hale shouted, "Keep pushing. Tower 1 is 60 meters ahead." They slid behind a metal barrier as shots flew overhead. Hale pointed to 2 soldiers. "You 2 plant charges. Rest cover." The charges glowed bright red. 5 seconds later, boom! Tower 1's control core shattered. The gravity field flickered. Back on the Valor, Mara shouted, "2 more. Keep going." Inside the base, Hale's team sprinted toward Tower 2. But this time, a massive Krail warrior blocked the hall, taller than a human and carrying a blade that hummed with blue light. The alien looked down at them. "You fight for what is already ours." Hale lifted his weapon. "No. You kidnapped the wrong species." The clash was brutal. The giant Krail swung fast, cutting metal walls like paper. Hale dodged, firing burst shots that sparked off its armor. His team circled, distracting it from all sides. Finally, Hale jumped forward and slammed the charge onto the creature's chest. The Krail grabbed Hale's arm. Too late. The explosion threw everyone back. Tower 2 collapsed. Hale lay on the floor, coughing but alive. "2 down," he said with a grin. His team helped him up. "Let's finish this." Back in orbit, the human fleet pushed through enemy ships. Rourke watched as human pilots took risks no alien ever expected. They flew through narrow spaces, used enemy debris as shields, and fought with pure willpower. The Krail commander appeared on the main screen again. "You cannot win. We are older, stronger, superior." Rourke stepped closer. "Maybe. But there's one thing you'll never understand." The alien leaned forward. "And that is," Rourke growled, "humans don't leave their children behind." Hale's team reached Tower 3. But as soon as they entered the chamber, they froze. Through a large glass wall, they saw the children, hundreds of them, weak, sitting in glowing pods. Some were crying. Some were asleep. Some looked lost. Hale whispered, "We're close, so close." But the chamber doors slammed shut. The Krail leader walked out of the shadows. It wasn't a hologram this time. It was him, tall, calm, cold. "You came far," he said. "But this ends now." Hale raised his weapon. "No. This ends with them going home." The alien raised his hand. Energy crackled. Before he could strike, Rourke's voice echoed through every speaker. "Hale, take the shot. We'll handle the fallout." Hale didn't hesitate. He fired. The charge hit the tower core. A blinding flash. Then the gravity field outside collapsed. But instead of crushing the chamber, the base's power flowed backward into the pods. The children woke up one by one, and every child's pod unlocked. The Krail leader staggered. "Impossible." Mara's voice came through. "General." The power feedback triggered the pod safety system. "They're free." Rourke slammed his fist down. "Then get them home." Minutes later, escape doors burst open. Human soldiers carried children through halls while human ships landed inside the base to pick them up. Krail forces tried to stop them, but the collapsing shield confused their systems. Humanity used that opening perfectly. One by one, the kids were lifted to safety. Hale looked at the last child, a small girl holding his hand. "It's okay. You're going home," the girl whispered. "Did you come for all of us?" Hale smiled softly. "Always." Back on the Valor, the bridge erupted in cheers as the last shuttle docked. Rourke finally allowed himself to breathe. Mara whispered, "We did it." Rourke looked at Earth on the screen. "No, they did it. Humanity." Outside, the Krail base broke apart in a silent explosion. The war wasn't over. But everything had changed. Humanity had shown the galaxy something no alien had ever believed. When someone threatens human children, The entire species becomes one army. And this time, the line had been crossed for the last time.